this thing on. The race actually, for us, I think the biggest thing is it went exactly to plan. And our pit stops were good. I ran the pace that we knew we'd be able to run, and we were hoping that that would put pressure on everybody else. And Jake and I were working together really well early on in the race. At some point, I think with a little bit of help from some traffic, I got a small gap. Maybe I remember seeing +2 on my board, and I said, man, this is where I got to start trying to drive the nail in. And I just started putting the best laps I could together and trying to get a small gap and work it out. And it kept stretching a little bit, and then of course it gets a little confusing around pit stop time. But I knew I did a really fast in lap. I was in. My crew got my pit stop done very, very clean, and my out lap was really fast also. From a standstill, I felt like I had put a really decent out lap in. It was back up to speed immediately, and took a little while for things to sort out for a couple laps, and then everything kind of settled out for a while, and I was able to just do that again later in the race. And a couple of exciting moments, I guess, in there with some traffic, and I think I went off the track twice, but I can't really blame too much anybody except myself. I put myself in a couple of bad spots, but I knew I had a little time that I could work with, so it was okay to stand it up, run a little wide, and get back going again. And like I said, I had the race that my team planned to have. Everything went to plan. We showed up with a good motorcycle that ran the whole race. My Dunlops were amazing. At one point, I had about a +4 or 5 second gap. I'm not sure who it was. I think maybe Neil was pretty close behind me, and I was working my way through traffic, and then all of a sudden the gap got pretty big, and he was probably in my 23rd lap on the tire. And when he pulled in, I said, well, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it now, whether I'm on the old tires or not. So kind of wanted to see what kind of pace I could run, and I put down a couple of good low 40s, and said, I want to make sure I drive the nail in the coffin on this one, and then did a pit stop and came out with some fresh rubber and gave me a little breathing room. And it was just a good race. A rye been with me for a long time, and my helmet was perfect, my vision was good the whole race. There was a lot of trash flying around out there, but it felt pretty good, and Technique's done a great job with my suits. Got some new boots this year with TCX, and our equipment is great. I was really comfortable out there, and it was just a perfect day, and everything went like it was supposed to.
Thank you, Josh. Chaz, we wanted to ask, we're seeing a lot of wind out there. How'd you deal with that?
Actually, it wasn't too bad. Like Josh said, there's a lot of trash flying around. There was, especially coming into one, actually, and one time I had a little bit of a slip into one with the front, and I thought that was trash.
Right.
But the wind generally, it wasn't too bad. It affected us, but you do 69 laps, you soon adjust to it.
No doubt. Maybe just some of the highlights for the race for you. It was a darn good race.
Yeah, well, the first sort of stint, if you like, wasn't very good at all. We had something wrong with the rear of the bike. I was got a lot of vibration, and I dropped off, and was really just trying to nurse things around the banking, and I was just fearing the worst. It was getting worse and worse every lap. And that's when I came in. I saw Steve came in, and I was like, I've got to go in the next lap, because I was hanging out. I thought, I can't stop too early, otherwise, it's just not going to work out with the fuel stops. So I stopped the lap after Steve did, and then luckily when I next went out, everything was fine, and the bike was running as it felt in practice, and it felt immaculate. And then only did I really start feeling comfortable. And after that, I just sort of put my head down. I could see Steve in front, and then I could see Neil just in front of him, and Josh was gone by that point. And then I saw myself up in fourth, and I was knocking on the edge of a podium, and just sort of kept my head down. I also had a couple of dicey moments with traffic, and run off the track a couple of times, I think once or twice in the chicane. And that's pretty scary, because you know how much it rained last night, and I was just as upright as you can be. I think if you measured it, I probably would be exactly 90 degrees. And that was pretty scary. So anyway, we got through that, and just tried to keep it clean, and the last 15 laps, I struggled to read my pit board a little bit, and I wasn't sure if it was showing 2.2 or 22 seconds, so I just kept going and going until I was really confident, because I don't like looking behind either.
Speaking about looking behind, Steve, you came in third here today. You won last time. What was the difference today?
Well, yeah, I mean, win this race, everything has to go right, and last year went perfect for us. I mean, it seemed like there was no other bikes on the track. It seemed like my tires were working perfect. It was just, that's what it takes to win, and this weekend we didn't have it. I made a lot of mistakes myself, and I put the crew behind a little bit. In the morning I crashed, and that didn't help at all. And it just was one of those races where I didn't get the traffic brakes really good, and everyone else was riding really good, and so, you have to ride perfect, and you have to get the good brakes in traffic, you have to get really good pit stops, and we had half of it, and just not all of it, so, but I felt like I was riding pretty good, and one point I came into the pits, I think for my second stop, and Chaz was actually in the pits already, and so I went back out and I had to do another lap, and then I came back in again, so it's just, when you have things like that happen, you're definitely not going to win. I mean, at that point, you're just hoping for a podium. And I was watching my pit board, and it was reading fifth, and Jake passed me Zimke, and I was like, but my position didn't change ever, so I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I passed Miguel, and it still didn't change, and I was just confused by it because I thought those would be the guys that would be in the top three, at least. So I was really kind of confused at that point, kind of like, why isn't it changing? And just stayed in fourth. And then late in the race, it went to P3, and I think it was maybe like 8 laps to go at that point, and a big gap, and so at that point I just kind of put on cruise control and just, made sure we got at least on the podium, because I knew after having such a great race last year that we had no place to go but down, and I at least wanted to get on the podium, so it was good. I have a lot of new sponsors with Dane Easy Leathers. They're kind of back in the AMA again. I'm still with AGV, and it's really good for them to go 2 times on the Daytona podium, and the CD booths, and so it was a good race for us. Happy to be here. Happy for Kawasaki and Richard, and basically we came here with a whole new crew. I mean, we had probably 9 new guys on the team that weren't here last year, and this is really their first AMA race ever. So I mean, you got to be pretty happy with that. I mean, they had to go through a lot of stuff to get here, so I'm proud of them.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to all you guys. I'm going to open the floor up for questions.
Josh, Mark Dakota Support today newspaper. Yesterday when they announced the acquisition, they said this would be the last time for Formula Extreme in the 200. Could you talk a little bit about what it means to win this race in the last year of this format? Thank you.
For sure. I was lucky. I won the last 750 Super Stock Championship, and before the class went away. And that's kind of neat. And I think that there was a lot of people who have been very critical of the Daytona 200 ever being Formula Extreme. Everybody expects it to be the super bikes, but I think that in the Formula Extreme format, it proved to have some great racing, and for sure we would have loved to have had all those top-seeded superbike guys here. We had a few of them, we just didn't have all of them, but it's great for me, after winning the championship 2 years in a row, to finally be able to get this win. And if this was, my last chance to get it, that's great. Hopefully we'll all be on superbikes next year and get to do it again.
Chaz, can you identify anything that you learned last year that you applied this year?
Yeah, definitely. Getting out of the pits a little quicker, finding a braking marker in practice to enter the pits. So basically, them 2 things was what I worked on this year. Getting out of the pits. I watched the video last year, and I was a little bit lax coming out of the pits, but this year I think I picked it up and was definitely better in that area. And aside from that, just trying to make as sensible and as clean moves as you can on traffic, and trying to get too flustered by it, and that's about it.